All right, time for Sports Idiot Nation. We have a lot of birthdays, a lot of anniversaries, football, baseball, basketball, you name it. We got a lot to get into, including a sinful curse.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots.
Ducks gave the Bucks a little of that Hakua. They spat on that thing.
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome in. Today is October 14th. That's right. That means it's another episode of Sports Idiot Nation. It's your weekly recap show that highlights what is about to happen while highlighting what already happened in the sports world. So we want to wish a very, very happy birthday. As always, I'm joined by Miles Behind Enemy Lines and Mr. 30,000, Mr. T.I. We want to wish a very happy birthday yesterday to a one Jerry Rice and a one Jerry Jones, and the Detroit Lions, by way of a snapped leg, delivered a really cool birthday present, 82nd birthday, to Jerry Jones. I saw a clip of him yesterday walking into the stadium, down into the locker room. Like, he was just like, he knew the cameras were on him, and so he couldn't like really let loose. But like, you know how when it's cold outside, well, you guys don't know, you're in Tennessee, but so let me tell you guys, when it's cold outside,
Doesn't get cold here.
The cold front just hit today, my man. So
okay,
tomorrow on Tuesday, the high's only 59.
You see your breath. All right, so
what is
this cold outside?
What is this cold you speak of? I've never experienced a cold.
In regular places on Earth, when it's cold outside, you see your breath, and basically you could see fuming out of Jerry Jones' nostrils, and it's just a wonderful thing. I don't know if we have a single fan of Sports Idiot Nation that loves the Dallas Cowboys. So I think I speak for all. That is just a beautiful thing. And we don't care that if he was turning 82 years old. What a birthday present to lose by about 82 points. And man,
he looked like he was having fun. He looked like he was having a lot of fun. He was looking around, arguing with folks. He was looking down a lot. It looked like he probably pounded about half a bottle of scotch.
Now, are you describing CeeDee Lamb on the sideline or Jerry Jones? Because in the second half, that's basically what CeeDee Lamb looked like.
And Dak.
Gentlemen, breaking news. Do you know yesterday was the International Day of Failure? The Cowboys lived up to that on Jerry Jones' birthday.
They did.
That was it. In my random Google searches, that's what that was. Yeah,
as Jerry Jones said, they just need to dig deep and find that glory hole, you know? And
so awesome. So they were defeated by a team from the NFC North, and that's what I want to talk about.
Ryan
first.
Gosling. Ryan Gosling's on the team, right? He's the quarterback.
He had another really good, like, again, I've talked about this before, that I love to hate on Jared Goff because as a 49er fan, to see him with the Rams twice a year, I had a lot to make fun of. And then what does he do in the last couple of weeks? He has a game where not a single ball touches the ground, including one that he catches for a touchdown. So, I mean, and then in today's game or yesterday's game, just crazy again, like super efficient, like dare I say fun to watch with some of those receivers and the two running backs. But again, I want to talk about the NFC North as a whole because the Bears went across the pond and played your beloved foes, the Jacksonville Jaguars. None of the Jaguar fans could go because of why, T.I.? Why couldn't they leave the country and not also their house?
Because they all have ankle monitors.
Right. They are on house arrest. So
yes.
But they hopefully have TVs. So they're able to watch
the
their
ones
debacle.
that haven't sold them for meth.
Well, those are the ones that steal them, bro.
It's more bath salts actually in Florida. Bath salts are more popular.
Bath salt. Those are the ones that steal the TVs.
But I have a theory why Jacksonville played so poorly in London is that London really wants Jacksonville to move there. So they figured if they just keep playing poorly, then London won't want them anymore and it'll solve the problem. So I think it's all a strategic plan. I don't think it's the fact that Jacksonville just sucks. I think it's just a strategic plan for them to not relocate eventually to London.
So I want to ask T.I. because we've talked about this a few times, and this will not be the last time because I do like to remind him he is the elder statesman of the group. And so as long as you've been watching football, can you honestly, and I don't want to be a slave to the moment, but has there ever been a time where the NFC North was this good, including teams that at this point in mid-October, one team is undefeated, one team only has one loss, and the rest of the division only have 2 losses? I mean, I'm pretty sure you look at like the Bears of the 80s, obviously they had the one super dominant season. In the 90s, they had like Mike Tomczak and Jim Harbaugh at the helm, I should say. And they weren't, the Vikings, they never, Dante Culpepper, Randy Moss, they had some good teams. The Packers obviously were like the best of the division for, I feel like, the last 30 freaking years. And when you and the Lions were bad.
Hall of Fame quarterback to Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty easy to do.
But it shoved the whole division down where it was just like, okay, it's the Green Bay Packers and that's it. And now they're like tied for last place in their division and they're still playing well. I mean, so it's like this division is down. We're in spooky season. Is there a spookier division? And if not, why are they able to play so well?
There's clearly a spookier division. It's the AFC South. It's a very spooky division. It's very scary.
They scare themselves.
Yes.
Yes. They scare themselves out of their own end zones. Like, no.
But if you're asking, since I am a geriatric dinosaur, if I recall a time where all 4 teams in a single division has been as dominant, no, I do remember, ironically, years back where there was a time when the Colts and the Texans and the Titans all were pretty good. And Jacksonville, obviously, they're used to sucking. But they at one point looked like they all 3 were going to make the playoffs. So, I mean, you've seen it in the NFC West before. You've seen it where 3 teams have made the playoffs. But to see all 4 fighting who, it's any team's division at that point. I mean, Minnesota obviously was on bye. But, I don't know.
They're undefeated. Them and the Chiefs are the only teams left.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time.
RG3 days, the NFC East had some really good divisions. Now, Adam, you went all the way back to 80s and 90s. That's back when the 4-division system didn't exist. That's back when the NFC Central had the Tampa Bay Bucks in.
But they were still the black and blue division. They were always known as the black and blue. For sure.
The Lions perpetually sucked, and when they were actually good in the 90s, Tampa Bay was hot garbage, and a number of those other teams, even back then, the Packers before Brett Favre were not good. So this, since 2002, the modern era, as we'd say, for the divisions, I can't really think of a time, at least for the North Division, because since 2002, Detroit's been nothing until the last 2 years. And the fact that Jordan Love has been okay enough, and then Caleb Williams, he's starting to improve. He's starting to play. And
Cole Kmet helped him out big time. But yes.
That's fine. He's got we all knew he had the weapons. It's what you do with them. And he's starting to finally do something with them. Last week, Angel Reese could have been their quarterback and they would have beat Carolina. But this week, Jacksonville's not good. But he balled.
Yeah, announcer said he's on fire. I was like, well, yeah, he is. A little bit,
I'm looking at other divisions, definitely not the NFC, because the NFC, if you look at the other conferences, have the New York Giants, who can't cut it, the Panthers, obviously, and the Rams. So there's no other division in the NFC, and then in the AFC, when you look at the divisions, the Patriots bring down the AFC East, and the Browns bring down. Finally, the Bengals did win last night to give their season total of 2 wins, but the Browns are bad. The Jaguars and your guys' beloved Titans are really bad, and so it's like the AFC West maybe.
No, the
But
Raiders
they're
and
still not
Broncos
there
ain't
because
They're
because
not.
the Raiders, the Broncos Chargers game yesterday, didn't really do it for me.
Now, I do have one argument. You said the Patriots bring down the AFC East. I contend that entire division brings down the
Brings down
AFC
the-
East.
And scene. Fair. Very fair. Now we will see tonight. Luckily, we have playoff baseball, which we'll jump to in a second. But I wanted to also talk about a reason to follow Sports Idiot Nation. There are a lot of reasons to follow on social media. Now, the first reason I'm going to give is I'm going to lob you a softball. One of the posts, T.I., was about Nick Sirianni. Tell us why.
Oh, that guy. He's just
That guy.
He has the most punchable face in all.
T.I.'s like,
of
that guy, a
professional sports.
softball. Let me hit it out of the ballpark.
That guy. I'd rather throw a baseball at him instead of you pitch me a softball. But no, he constantly is so annoying. He's constantly just running his mouth. He's always having these just looks on his face. He's either crying, he's pumping his fist at the crowd just because they beat some sorry team by 1 point in overtime. And anyway, he comes back from the bye week. Apparently had like a bye week meltdown like Britney Spears, and shaved his head. And at the end of the game, I don't know if you guys saw this, at the end of the game they won, not the game they lost, they won. He starts arguing with fans, and he's getting into it, and he's yelling at these fans, and they're arguing back and forth about something, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, people already think you're a head case. You come back with your head shaved for no apparent reason, and now you're arguing with fans at the end of the game you won. I'm just like, what is going on in Philly? I don't know. It's just for them to, what was it? When they started off last year, like 10-0 or something, and then they have just dive bomb. I mean, Cleveland is really bad, and they struggled against them. Really struggled.
They only won 20-16.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, Jalen Hurts goes from putting 4 and 5 touchdowns up a game to struggling to get 2. I think he's lead the league in turnovers since over the last like 20 games or something. I don't know, but I mean, I just saw that. I saw the tail end of that and him arguing, and then I saw some stories about it, and I was just like, "What in the hell is going on over there?" I don't know. Philly fans,
you guys,
Philly fans gotta love it. Feel bad for him. Feel real bad for him, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah. After yesterday and last night, Adam, your secondary team, the Washington Commanders, are the class of the NFC East now. I think we know that. How well they might have lost, but how well they played at Baltimore. That team is for real. Everyone else in that division is a flat-out joke. And I got to give a shout-out to my buddy Mark, who's probably the only true Redskins/Commander fans I know. That man has 2 joys in life. It's his Washington Commanders and tech volley. If you don't know what tech volley is, you need to Google it, YouTube it. That's an insane sport. But 2 just very off-the-wall things. But now his Washington Commanders/Redskins actually are doing something now. It's bizarro world out there.
Bizarro world for sure. In our bizarro world where we're not rooting for our favorite teams, we have discussed teams that we're kind of following, and you mentioned the Commanders. For me, that was definitely the game of the week. I know it was going on while your guys' Titans game was going on, but man, the Commanders definitely missed some opportunities. I think that as a young team, not necessarily in that all their players are young. I think there's something to be said about young in the formation of the team. You look at the coaching staff. How long have they been together with that team? Not very long. Then, of course, some of the players, a rookie quarterback, all that. All that said, and you look at the Ravens, who have been a staple in their division as being really good for 20 years and Harbaugh being at the helm for very, a lot of years. And guess what? They only lost by one score and they just kind of ran out of time. I think, like what you said, Miles, like they showed, hey, they're for real to go into Baltimore and lose 30-23 is no laughing matter. Like, oh, the Commanders, same old Commanders, they got beat. No, I was again, they're my pick to click, the team that I'm kind of checking out, and I was thoroughly impressed of their fight. Yeah, Derrick Henry did his thing. Yeah, the Ravens did their thing. They made their defense made plays when they needed to. Yes.
Ratbirds.
But man, very cool to see. Miles, your team was on bye then, right? The Vikings, as we check in with your guys' teams that you kind of follow.
So right there with Kansas City, still undefeated.
Didn't lose.
And we knew into the week, both teams were still going to be undefeated.
Crazy.
After sitting on their ass this weekend.
They both played the same team this week.
So
it's all scripted. It's fixed, man. Like Tom Brosey's scripted videos, man. We all know this is in for the fix.
So the other team then, TI, the Bucks and Falcons kind of were your kind of
not the Falcons. I had said originally, I said the jury was out on the Saints. I said, but my pick was the Bucks. I said
and they played the Saints.
Yeah, and it was going back and forth for a while, but then Tampa Bay put up.
But then Tampa scored 20-0 in the fourth quarter. So the final was 51-27. Baker throws 4 touchdowns. My fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, he's killing it. I think he leads. Most leagues in scoring.
Right, 325 yards.
It's between him and Lamar Jackson right now as a fantasy overall leading scorer. But yeah, I have Godwin on one of my teams, and I kept seeing it hit my phone light up today, and I was like, "Hey, look at that!"
And I have Evans, and they didn't go to him enough because they were going to Godwin, and like, oh man.
But yeah, Baker looks good. Baker looks good. I mean,
could you imagine just like 3 years ago telling people that Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield would be 3 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in 2024?
That means in about 10 years, Will Levis will be making a return somewhere.
Well, he made a return into the meme of the week.
Probably for the Colts.
What was this?
Spider-Man.
Can you guys even act it out?
He graduated to GIFs. He moved up from memes to GIFs now.
Yes.
GIF.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw a comment on one of the threads that was like, "Oh no, he's in on it now. He's just out here trying to make memes now."
Because he can't make wins, obviously.
He can break wind.
I'm just like, bro, why did you have to do the Spider-Man celly? Like, what is that about? Hopefully it comes out that like he visited some kid in the hospital who's dying, and the kid was like, will you do a Superman or a Spider-Man celebration? If you score a touchdown, and and then he's like, yeah, sure, kid, I'll do it for you. Like, I hope that's the story.
Yeah, and the kid probably thought, no, there ain't no way he's getting in the end zone.
Yeah. Like that Seinfeld episode where Paul O'Neill has to hit 2 home runs. And he does. Like, they're listening to the game on the radio or something.
And don't forget the modern cinema classic basketball.
I think you have a better chance with Bill.
Just hit. I think he has to hit 3 home runs.
So before we shift to college football, there's one story I want to tell with basketballs. You mentioned there was an Instagram reel that I saw with Tom Segura and Bert Crasher. They have their podcast, and Bert Crasher apparently sat on a plane with Matt Stone. First of all, in the story, he said it was Trey Parker. Then they show a picture, and he's like, well, which one's the guy with the curlier hair? And they're like, no, that's Matt. Oh, well, then I sat next to him. He doesn't even know. He knows Trey Parker's maybe a little bit more famous, so he just assumed it was him. He didn't know it was him. He tells the story that he's on a plane, and he's sitting next to a guy, and he asks him what he does. Oh, I'm a writer. And, oh, really? Well, I'm a comedian, and I'm a pretty big deal. And I'm telling him that I'm really good and all this. And, Matt Stone's being cool about it. He's not doing the, well, I write for South Park, and I'm the co-creator, and he's not doing that. So he proceeds to show a clip from his phone of doing a bit on South Park. They actually used him before on an episode. And he pulls it up on YouTube. He's like, yeah, see, this is pretty cool, right? Man, those guys are geniuses. And he still doesn't know at the time. And then later he's getting off the plane and someone goes to him and goes, dude, that guy's the co-creator of South Park. And he's like, no, you got to be kidding me. He didn't know. And he's telling this story to Tom Segura.
More awesome, or like
he's like, you're an
I'm
idiot.
in a glass cage of emotion after that plane ride. Like, at least I didn't say, "Wow, these guys were total a-holes."
So he is definitely runner-up for Idiot of the Week. You will have to stay tuned to find out who Idiot of the Week is. But I want to shift gears to college football because I watched the first game I want to talk about is Tennessee. They were down 10-0 in the second half, and it was looking kind of dicey. And then all of a sudden, like I went to go get some more dip and some more chips and came back, and it was 17-10. I'm like, was only gone 14 minutes. Like, just, man, was that now what I want to ask you, Miles, is was that true Tennessee, or is this more about Florida losing?
No, we know who Florida is. It's about Tennessee showing in back-to-back games now that they've got issues. Florida's a mess. They're going to win 4 or 5 games this year. They're going to have a new head coach next year.
And they were up 10-0.
They were up 10-0, and they weren't playing well. Actually, if you go back and watch that, Florida made a lot of boneheaded decisions coming from the sideline. They blew a chance to score a field goal going into the half. Again, mismanagement, kind of like a one Ryan Day. We'll talk about that later. But Tennessee could not get it going. But the fact of the matter is Tennessee was a better football team. We all know that. So inevitably, they're going to come back. They inevitably were going to win that game. That should not have taken overtime at home. I don't care that you'd only beaten Florida 2 times the last 19 outings. This Florida team is not good. Tennessee is supposed to be a national title contender. What I've seen the last 2 weeks, they are not. They're not the only ones. There's a lot of other teams out there. We'll talk in a little bit about the other ones that went into overtime. But right now, it's Texas and everybody else.
No question.
Yeah, I thought Florida. I thought Florida should have just went for 2. I thought you're playing for nothing. Your season's nothing. This is it. This is your Super Bowl. The Florida Tennessee matchup. Because let's be real. Like, that's back in the day. That was the highlight matchup. Even though Florida's been terrible for a while, but it's still a premier game. But yeah, they should just went for 2 because who cares if you lose? Like, everybody expects you to get blown out. The fact that you had that opportunity, like, who cares what happens, And they might would have got it. Who knows? They had some momentum. Like, once they went overtime, I was like, oh, Tennessee's going to pull this out for sure.
So on Sports Idiot Nation, guys, I think we've shown you as many episodes as we have had. We are not intelligent enough to pull something like this off. But I have to tell you, that is the most perfect segue because I wanted to ask you, T.I., did you see the end of the Purdue-Illinois game?
I can't say that I did.
Let me walk you through it. So this is the most Purdue thing ever. So
did Nick Sirianni show up and start trying to fight the fans?
No, Drew Brees did. No.
Oh, okay.
No. So Purdue, let me set the stage, if you will, and Miles can take it and run with it. But so Purdue is 1-5. That is good enough.
They're bad.
That's good enough for 17th in the Big Ten. 17th. I think the 3 of us are 18th in the league.
There's like 35 teams in the Big Ten now.
Right. So they're 1-5. They're taking on Illinois, who only has 1 loss, and they're ranked as the Fighting Illini are not always ranked, right? No. And they're playing at Champaign, which that's where I first saw my first Dave Matthews concert. That was pretty epic. But
was it a champagne supernova in the sky?
Wrong band,
Oasis.
weirdo.
Of course, I know it's
Shout
the
out
wrong
to
band.
Oasis. They're coming back,
Doesn't
boys.
matter. White people like Oasis and Dave Matthews. Okay, so
Yeah.
Yes, this is a very white people show, I guess.
22-year-old drunks. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are white people. I mean, Adam, I guess you're not really white, but might as well claim.
When I play one on
say you are.
TV, I fake
Yeah.
it till I make it. So in the third quarter, Purdue finds a way to score 17 to Illinois' 3, and in the fourth quarter,
Wow.
they outscore them 23 to 16. So that is nuts. So they come all the way back. They take the lead. At the end of the game, they're up 3. Illinois kicks the field goal to force overtime. Now, Miles, tell us, like, in the most Purdue way of losing a football game, what happened?
I think the bigger story should be Illinois because they're supposed to be a decent team. Blow a 27-3 lead at home. Like, you see that score line 27-3, and it's beyond reproach that you blow that lead as a top 25
They
team.
score
But
30 in the
Illinois-
second half. Purdue scores 30.
and they're awful. He gave up 66 to Notre Dame. But
I mean
scores
40.
first.
I mean 40. I said 30.
Yeah, undercutting them there. Oh yeah, Purdue fans will be mad. But Illinois
All
gets
5
the
of
ball
them.
first, scores, kicks the extra point, and then Purdue gets the ball. And a lot of teams, they'll go for 2 at the end there because then, if you're the underdog on the road, you have to go for
Which
2
is
in the
what
second
T.I. was
half.
talking about.
Yep. So
This is your
Purdue's
Super
going
Bowl.
for 2, and then
Sack.
It-
I ruined it. Let me
dude.
ruin the story.
Yeah,
They take a
right.
sack,
Like-
bro. They take a
You
sack.
can't even just launch
I mean,
it, man. Like there's nothing
Yes.
else. There's no intentional grounding you have to worry about. Just launch it 50 feet in the air and hope it just kind of pinpoints, drops straight down. In the
Yeah,
end zone and maybe
like Joe
somebody
Flacco
there.
did to you guys. Kind of like that.
But
Okay.
that obviously wasn't the only idiotic, moronic way to end a game, as we probably segue into the Oregon-Ohio State story. I mean, the end of that game was pretty beautiful.
Well, that was the juicy. See, I was getting all the TI. We're getting all the other stuff out of the way. Okay, before we get into that, I want to bring up one other thing, and this is this dude from Boise.
Oh,
Can we talk about this dude?
He's
Let's talk
a video
about that.
game. He's a video game character.
Yeah,
Not real. There's somebody in the booth controlling him.
Here's the thing.
Michael Myers. He is Michael Myers. If you see his stance, he stands straight up. Look at Michael Myers' silhouette. It's the same thing.
It's
He's
the same,
Mr.
yeah.
October of college football, man.
He is Mr.
I'm telling
October.
you.
Here's
He
what's
stands straight up. He's like, I don't give a damn. I'm just going to run right through you.
Here's what's weird. So in rushing the football, you can't have that many rushes of over 50 yards because simply the end zone is in the way. If you're on the opponent's 27-yard line, you can't run for 50 yards. You can only run for 27, right?
Only
So-
fourth down.
That's math. I
If
stayed
there
at
wasn't,
a
if
last
there
night.
wasn't an end zone, he could just keep running for eternity. And he
Forrest
could have
Gump did.
he could have one play. It was over 1,000 yards if there was no
I
end
just
zone.
kept on running. So
It'd be
I
a
know
weird.
what love
weird
is.
football would be a weird sport if it worked that way. But
So for him to have this many 50-yard rushes, it's like we're talking like this is like Reggie Bush type stuff. You're like, how does this guy have an average per carry of like over 10 yards? It means every time he touches the ball, it's not a second down. Like this is the video game type numbers. And I'm wondering, like, let's make a top 5 list. Like, why did he go to Boise State? Like he had a college visit that was like he got game and just had like 18 prostitutes there in the bed or something. Why would you go there?
His
Bluefield.
offer list, man.
Bluefield.
Look at
All
his
right, that's
offer
one.
list. Have you seen it?
What?
He had about 6 Division I offers, most of them FCS. Like he didn't get the looks, man. Like he did not have when the Pac-12 existed.
What's wrong with
or
our
really
country? We used
existed.
to be a fine country who stood on morals and getting good running backs. And look at us now.
Hey,
If UCLA would have offered
good.
him, he'd be UCLA's running back right now. So just saying.
Yeah, you can just blame all the other schools. It's not it's not the system. It's the participants.
It happens. Guys fall through the cracks. Even with today's media, social media, Huddle, YouTube, et al. There's still misses out there, man. It still happens, and you end up at a school like Boise State, and now Boise State's going to be a relevant Pac-12 team because they keep cranking out 3-star studs that fall through the cracks out of Texas or California.
Yeah. Just
Hey,
it's
hey.
like a weird thing to see where week in and week out now we have to kind of check in on him, and like you're not going to watch the game, but you got to pull up the highlights, you got to pull up your phone and see, well, how many yards did he get, or in the first half how many did he get, how much over 100 yards will he have in the first half, and every time he runs in the first half for more yards than Will Levis throws for in an entire game.
That's cute. That's cute. Let's just keep piling on, spreading the mayonnaise.
Listen, T.I., the Bible says, speak the truth in love. So I'm lovingly telling you that Will Levis sucks, but I'm with love.
Yeah, so if you guys want to know his offer list right here, it looked like Boise State, Air Force, Army. He did get Cal and Kansas, were his two big Power 5, now Power 4 offers. New Mexico, Sam Houston State, Tulane, Pennsylvania.
He probably looked at their existing depth chart too, and was probably like, I'm not going to Cal. I'm going to go where I can start immediately. And that's probably
well, not only that, for the last 20 years, Boise State typically has had better teams than Cal and certainly Kansas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was the best offer he had, was Boise State. Regardless of conference they're in, without a question, Boise State was the best offer he had.
Yeah.
Now he's going to get some NIL deals. Sure.
Oh, those are cranking.
I think the University of Colorado should have recruited him to play defense, because I think Shedeur Sanders, on the way home with Dad, I think at some point it's an argument. Like, Dad, I went 34 of 40 for 388 yards and 3 touchdowns, and we lose because we give up 31 points at home. Like, Dad, this is BS. Like, I mean, if it was me and my dad was the coach and I had those numbers, at some point I feel like I would say, like, so when are you going to get me a defense? I can't play defense too. I can't. So, I mean, that's got to be an argument, because it is not working for Colorado. That's for sure.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah. And we're so sad about it. Like,
breaks my heart. But I mean,
TI's favorite team in college sports.
That's right. Why doesn't Deion just hit the portal and sign a new defense? Right? Isn't that how it works?
He could get 36 guys at once.
Not good at it.
He could. Good old Colorado. Yeah, it was fun to see them lose. I mean, it's cool that, obviously these kids are good. They're talented, putting up lots of numbers. But it's not translating to consistent W's. Maybe against
offense, they can do their thing.
Yeah, against mediocre teams, maybe they get the dub, but it's still always still questionable. They need overtime and Hail Marys and crazy stuff to hang in there, with some teams that, the bottom dwellers of the SEC would blow out of the water.
Yeah, they can't stop anybody. Speaking of Hail Marys, the last thing we'll talk about before getting into the best game, which was Oregon and Ohio State, and that is Brian Kelly kind of had a Hail Mary to eke out a win. Another overtime game that was just really fun to watch. I was watching that at a watch party, actually, and we were into the Ohio State Oregon game, which I saw every minute of, and then after that we tuned into the end of the LSU game, and so we're watching, and they show the numbers for the quarterback of LSU, and he's at the time that we switched over, he was 18 for like 39. And we're like, what? And they were losing. And I look over to my buddy, I'm like, can you imagine if he goes 19 for 50 or something like that and they win? And what happened? They come back. They had some weird plays. It wasn't, don't give any credit to Brian Kelly. He was not the reason they won, but LSU finds a way. We had talked about Ole Miss about a month ago, like, hey, they're for real. Watch out. Now they're 5-2.
Cursed them.
Yeah, you definitely did. That was on you.
I said Texas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Miami. Since then, Tennessee has lost one and struggled against Florida. Miami has struggled, I think, back-to-back games, I believe.
Back-to-back,
Ole Miss,
Cal
Ole Miss
and Virginia Tech.
Ole Miss is either
Two
lost
loss.
back-to-back or one in 2
out of 3.
One loss. Yeah. So
2 out of 3.
Of course, lost. We all know Texas is the best team. So I think I gave those
it's not
three
close.
teams
Yeah.
the kiss of death. I gave them the kiss of death there. So
congrats.
But Vandy did beat the powerhouse of Kentucky. So, which, if you think about that, though, the way that Kentucky has been playing people tough, it really makes you, and with Vandy beating, Bama, it really makes you wonder, like, what that team really is. Like, until you get another test like Bama or Georgia, or I guess they've already played Georgia, haven't they? I don't know. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see like what that team really is. Their quarterback.
No, Vandy has not played Georgia, but Vandy did beat Virginia Tech. They took Missouri to the wire, and also we saw Virginia Tech on the road took Miami down to that Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm.
So no, Vandy's a decent team. Sans that Georgia State loss that I think you're getting that confused with. They lost to Georgia. They're still Vandy. They still have that loss in there against a team like Georgia State.
Yeah.
Georgia State, yeah.
I think it's obvious, and I know, Adam, you're about to get into it. It's Texas and everyone else. I know we got that game last night, but when you now have a team like Penn State that backed into the 3rd ranking in the country, and they're not very good. They barely survived at USC. Another overtime game. I think we had 4 Power 4 games. It's like, man, we look at that game on Saturday between Oregon and Ohio State. It's like, man, that was really fun to watch. But are they on the same tier as a team like Texas? I really don't know.
I don't think Oregon is. Oregon's always, I don't know. They're a good team. They always compete, but when it really matters, they're always going to just come up short. I'm never a believer in Oregon. Their fancy uniforms don't fool me. I see right through it.
Right. Just like the Sea Chickens.
In Ohio State, Ryan Day, I mean, that guy. His look, he would actually be in the running with Nick Sirianni for punchable face. He does have a punchable face. But I saw a sign on College Game Day. It was like the best days or worst days ranking. And it was like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. And at the very bottom, it was Ryan Day.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's pretty good, So, but both those guys, even Dan Lanning, he's kind of insufferable as well. I mean, both those guys are kind of annoying coaches. They're just not my style of coaches. Maybe their fan base love them, but I don't know. Yeah, I maybe that's like what is your style of coach? But I don't know. Both those guys just rub me the wrong way. Every time I see their interviews and stuff, they're always they've got something stupid to say and mouthing about something or putting their foot in their mouth. And you always see Nick Saban. He's just calm, collective. Like that's the kind of coach that I'm not. Obviously, he's the greatest college coach that we've seen in our lifetime. But still, I mean, it's like that's the kind of coach that I want. Somebody that's going to be quiet, get the job done, instead of those two guys who are constantly running their mouths and always choking when the time matters. So then was.
I feel like that could be a little bit of a generational gap. I mean, guys like Belichick and Saban, like they are quite a bit older than like a Sirianni or guys like that, where it's just different now to have players respond, and guys they seem to think that you have to be a little bit more that way. Now, if you're coaching your team and you're successful, then it's okay. But if it's a team that you love to hate, like in Ohio State. People love to hate Ohio State. If it's a Philadelphia Eagles, people love to hate Philadelphia Eagles. If you get one of those coaches and they mouth off and they lose, oh, we love that. We love when they fail.
I think it was last season. Was it last season when Oregon played Colorado? Was it, I think, and there was a lot of running mouths and all that. And then he said in the end, he was like, we're here for championships and not clicks or something like that, And I was just like,
Yeah.
First of all, like, everyone expected you to beat them. Like, you're supposed to beat them. You're supposed to destroy them. You're supposed to embarrass them. So, like, just be the bigger man and just go on, like, you didn't have to say that. I thought it was just so, like, it was like a t-shirt ready to happen, We're here for championships, not clicks.
Yeah, on the back it would say not clicks or something
just do it, Nike,
Right, because they're still there for money. So
I don't know. I mean, both those guys, like I said. But hey, too bad they both couldn't lose. That would have been nice.
So let's get into that. What's that? What's that sound?
Mayday! Mayday! Cover your brains, boys and girls. Put on your tinfoil hats, because this is Idiot of the Week.
All right, boys and girls. This week's number one idiot, coming straight out of the Oregon-Ohio State game, was Oregon's top wide receiver, Trayshawn Holden. Gave me that.
The Bill Romanowski.
Little Spitowowski.
A little Hakatua.
Right down the side of the mouth. Over to Ohio State corner Davison Igbinosun. In the second quarter, decides to get himself ejected as Oregon was driving down the field trying to take the lead back. And not only to get ejected, they had to settle for a field goal. Now, that would be the number one headline out of the game had Oregon lost. Lose your best receiver over not just a knucklehead, not just a selfish move, but one that we could consider assault, and you be charged, I guess battery technically, because that's a physical act, but you could go to jail for. And I know back in the day, I was watching a podcast the other day with Ocho Cinco and Unk on the nightcap, and they're saying, look, back in our days, if you did that, you would get pummeled into the ground. Nowadays, they just you get throw a 50 year, you get kicked out of the game. Well, we'll see you next week. But how stupid, how idiotic do you have to be to put your emotions first in the most important regular season game that either team is going to see this year, and you decide to do something as moronic as that, get yourself kicked out in a one-score ball game and nearly cost yourself the game. Trayshawn Holden, you are the idiot of the week.
Now, who was
congratulations? It's
in that very game? Because let's get into the game.
Should have been a co-idiot.
The other candidates for idiot of the week. Holy God, it's almost endless. So really, in one play in the second half, and I know we're fast forwarding to that, but it all came down to that final possession. Ohio State has the ball, down 1 point. That's so critical. Wasn't 4, wasn't 5, wasn't 6. 1 point. So you just need that field goal. They're marching down the field. Will Howard, playing well for the moment, throws an out route to freshman wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, completes it, goes down. They're well within field goal range. They get down to, I want to say, about the 28-yard line there. And the flag comes out about the color of my shirt right here. Offensive pass interference. They show that replay, and he shoves Nico Reed of Oregon into next week. I mean, we talked
extends
about
arm,
at the 27-yard line. You can't go beyond the end zone. I mean, he shoved him beyond the end zone there. It was the most blatant offensive PI I've seen in a while. So that's idiot move number one on this sequence of plays going here. Then, because that 15-yard penalty, you're out of field goal range now. Meanwhile, the clock's running. Ohio State's not paying attention because by rule, if a penalty occurs and the play before ended in bounds and you're the team having the deficit, the clock still runs. Good days, bad days, worst days, Ryan Day comes into play here. Not paying attention. Clock runs from 22 seconds all the way down to 10. And that matters because then what coincides with that? Your 27th year quarterback from Kansas State, Will Howard, decides to take off up the middle with no timeouts left, miles short of the first down marker because of the offensive PI, slides down, clock hits 000. Oregon is number 2 in the country.
Now, did you see that clip on social media? It's a screenshot that says the argument is he is starting to slide and there's 1 second left. And the argument is his knee is not down. However, when you give yourself up and slide, you don't have to be down. The play is over right then and there as you begin your slide, and there's 1 second left, and there's players going like this, timeout, 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 timeout. And they were around the 30-yard line, which is definitely you're down 1 point, so you can kick the field goal for the win. And there was 1 tick left. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, that's really tough for that game clock operator.
It's the whistle. It doesn't matter. It's the whistle. It's not when he gave himself up. It's the whistle. And you are correct. They did have that 1 timeout left. But no, there wasn't enough time for that because just like basketball, as you know as well as I do, the officials need the time to react. It's not, he can't be up and giving himself up and you're calling timeout. No, he needs to be down. They have to call timeout and then the officials have to grant it. That's not going to happen in about 0.6 seconds.
Right. But it's like, oh, the technicalities of like, oh, they're trying to do that so Ohio State will lose. Well, the quarterback could have slid 5 yards back and really had enough time. That's still field goal range. It's not a guarantee, but you give yourself a chance. But instead, he's an idiot. So there was a series of idiots in the end. Do you guys think that
seriously misfortunate series of idiots?
Lemony Snicket's. Do you guys think that Oregon knew that having 12 men on the field would remember what happened is at that time frame that we're talking about, Ohio State runs a play that takes 5 or 6 seconds and there's a penalty, but you cannot go back in time. Those seconds came off the clock. So yeah, you gained yardage, but in the grand scheme of things, you were still so far away from everything, gaining 5 yards, but taking off 6 seconds. I don't know if coaches are have the foresight that far ahead to think of those things. Was that on purpose or not?
Yeah, go ahead, bud.
I was going to say, just simply, nah. I'm just saying, don't think so.
It was a true mistake to have 12 guys on the field.
Yeah. Rapid reaction, nah.
Follow Sports Idiot Nation for more hot takes from TI.
Yeah.
Hashtag,
no, sir.
nah.
No, sir. Didn't like it. Didn't like it.
No, sir.
No, because again, to my point earlier, these teams are not on the level that Texas has proven that they are. They are not there in terms of their roster. They're not there in terms of their coaching. They're not there in terms of their football IQ. And that play, if you watch that develop, the 12 men on the field, which honestly I forgot about. There's so much stupidness going on in the game. We say, oh man, that was such a great game. It was the game of the year. There were so many mental mistakes in that game, especially on that final possession from both teams. No, that guy was lost in the sauce. There was no way he intended to do that. And more times than not, that would turn into something that would harm your team. There's no way we're going to plan 12 guys on the field. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have a freshman receiver making offensive pass interference, then Ryan Day is going to be Ryan Day. Yeah, maybe you can predict
It's
that.
too many dominoes.
And
We
then
can always-
no.
You can always count on
No.
Ryan Day, though. You can count on that one for sure.
I'm in the category and classification along with T.I.
It's too nas.
All right. You heard it here first.
It's a
So I'm going to shift gears before we end with some baseball stuff. I want to ask you guys, for the NBA coming up this year, here's what I want to ask you guys. In the same manner that we have done with football, that after the season has started, we've kind of each picked a team that we're like, you know what? They kind of look fun to watch. I am interested to see what they do. I don't hate them unless they play my team, but I'd like to see, cool, like if they kind of did well, made the playoffs, I think it would be cool. What I think would be fun to do is for us to pick an NBA team. Now, I'm going to give some folks some information on how to follow us and some things. So I'll give you some time to think about that, and I will go last because I went first, and I even took one of your guys' teams when I said the Commanders. So I will go last. Think of your NBA team, and I will remind you the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube, as we have over 7,000 subscribers. So shout out to you, the fans who are catching us every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to follow Sports Idiot Nation on all the social medias that you can possibly find, because we're going to get into why you need to, because there's another curse that we want to bring up after the NBA. So throughout the week, we have all kinds of crazy posts. We reshare our friends from Cork Bats. Shout out to what episode number, Miles, was Corked Bats?
I believe that was episode 17 with Mr. Austin Huff.
Yes, so be sure to check out episode 17. Sometimes we'll reshare some of their funny stuff. We share breaking news. We invoke curses, all kinds of things on Sports Idiot Nation, Instagram, Facebook.
Fart jokes.
Yeah, wherever you've grabbed your social media, find Sports Idiot Nation. And if you love sports and you know your buddies love sports, then show them your phone. Go to YouTube, Sports Idiot Nation, and show them the channel. 7,000 subscribers, can't be wrong. So I want to get into NBA. Excited for the season to start soon. We know that the boys, being in Tennessee, they're going to be a fan of Ja Morant and those boys. I, of course, from the Bay Area, pledge my allegiance to the Golden State Warriors. So I will start with T.I. Who is your NBA team that you are casting your lot and saying, you know what, this season I'm gonna kind of follow them and see their progress, and I hope that they make the playoffs and make some noise, unless they're playing Ja Morant?
I guess since there was a big trade recently, I'll pledge my allegiance temporarily to the New York Knickerbockers.
Karl Anthony Towns did really well in his debut,
and which
for the preseason.
Ironically, I think is weird because that technically means pants, and they wear shorts when they play basketball. So I don't really know why they are the Knickerbockers, but yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see because, now Julius Randle is out in Minnesota and you've got Cat in New York, and they've got a pretty good little nucleus there. So,
yeah. And,
I think, the Knicks are one of those teams that nobody really hates, I guess, unless you're a Celtics fan. So, they're kind of interesting and fun to pull for. Madison Square Garden is a fun spot to see games. If they're good, they get a lot of primetime games. Get to see some good matchups. So let's follow the Knicks, the New York Knicks. New York Knicks.
The NBA,
forget about it.
The NBA is always better off, in my opinion, when the Knicks are good. That's just point blank. So I agree. Can't hate on you for that. Miles, who you got?
So I'm going to revert back to my favorite team as a child, the Orlando Magic.
Really?
I love seeing Paolo Banchero's progress last year. Franz Wagner. You got some decent role playing now. Jalen Suggs actually acting like he was worthy of a lottery pick this last season. Even Cole Anthony is, starting to be more of a team player than
What?
just about he himself and him. So I'm really on this Orlando train for this season, and wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a second round matchup between Orlando and Ti's New York Knicks. And I'm taking Orlando in 6.
Ooh.
Oh, he's taking it that far. Okay. Sheesh.
Adam, before you announce your team, I'm gonna try to guess it. Okay. Memphis Grizzlies. Right.
Man, you could not be more wrong. And I love that about you. I love that for you. I love that for you.
I tried.
So I used to love when I actually made a post. I know Miles did happen to see this post, but I made a post just yesterday about Red Robin. And I used to work at Red Robin 20 years ago. And I worked with some buddies there. And at that point, all of the servers at Red Robin were white, and all of the cooks were either black or Mexican. Now, that's just a fact. I'm not saying anything racial. That's just a fact. And what we would do is talk sports. And what the line cooks would always say to the white servers is, boy, that boy Dirk play like he black. and we did enjoy watching the Dallas Mavericks. And that was, Jason Terry, Jerry Stackhouse, Dirk Nowitzki, and those guys. And Dallas has always been a team
The muscle of JJ Barea.
Shout out to JJ Barea, yes. That when the Warriors were bad, I will admit that the Mavericks were kind of like my team, that I would like. I knew a lot about, Vince Carter went there then. Jason Kidd went there. Again, Stackhouse was there. Jason Terry, like all these guys, right? Eric Dampier, or as Shaq called him, Erica Dampier.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He was pretty soft.
Sagana Diop. I even know how to pronounce it right. Like, I know the Dallas Mavericks. I just do. And then I've always loved Mark Cuban. I've always liked Mark Cuban. And so, shout out to IU. So now that Klay Thompson is there, and Luka is just this guy that all of a sudden he's slow, kind of, but then he's got 58 points, 17 rebounds, and 13 assists, and you're like, what is happening? So I will say that I want the Dallas Mavericks to win unless they're playing the Golden State Warriors. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Really going out on a limb there to pick a team going to the NBA Finals, but the fact that you have a Splash Brother there will allow it.
No,
thank you.
Let's. I've got to pump the brakes a little bit, though. I can't necessarily say that I'm out here necessarily rooting for the team to win. I want to see the team do well, but I'm not really going out of my way to like root for the team. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on them. But hey, you do your thing with the Mavericks. You do your thing with the Mavericks.
But T.I., you want them to win to make you look good.
That's right.
You want to. It's personal.
That's right.
Yeah, see,
a fantasy
about
player,
looking good.
Just like a fantasy player. You don't care about the team. You want them to play well, so you look good.
Yep. That's right. People on the podcast will think you're smart.
Trust me, they don't think that.
That's what every morning in the mirror. I look in the mirror and I say,
"You're good enough.
You're going to make people think you're smart today.
You're smart enough, and doggone it, you're not an idiot." All right,
Stuart Smalley.
Which that was funny when Muggsy Bogues and Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan were on.
Oh yeah,
Muggsy B. We want to maintain his anonymity. Like, we're not going to know who he's talking about. Muggsy B.
Oh man, speaking of
and
SNL
Charles B.
That SNL skit with Michael Jordan, where it's like the black and white skit, where they're playing basketball, and Michael Jordan. That skit's like one of my all-time favorites.
So funny.
Just shows the score going up. He's just like dunking on them all. Oh, it's so funny.
They're all like white plumbers.
Yeah, that's like the athlete SNLs aren't always the best, but like that one was really good, and the one with Peyton Manning was really good when he was throwing the footballs at the kids. Like there's been
Joe Montana had a good one.
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess most of them are decent, but those ones were pretty memorable to me.
No, pretty
Charles
solid.
Barkley was always funny, but
Look, Ma, your favorite, Nirvana. And the band is just like sitting there. That was pretty classic too. Gotta love the old SNLs. All right, so let us shift to baseball because we got to talk about this curse. So, what's cool is I think all of us are like the Dodgers are the evil empire, the National League's New York Yankees, and we just don't want them to do well. And so I was on my phone late last night and I look up, and in the hit column in the fourth inning is a goose egg. And I know it's too early to say anything, but you know what? I did want to say something because I know if you're a fan of the team, you don't talk about Fight Club, right? You don't say the no-hitter. If the no-hitter's going, you don't sit near the pitcher, you don't look at him, you don't think about him. It's a curse, right? So we decided to force the issue. Again, a reason to follow Sports Idiot Nation on social media because we forced the issue and basically just flat out posted, hey, the Dodgers have a no-hitter going. Don't look now. And what happened to the next batter?
Spoiler alert.
You guessed the shot.
You guys
called a shot. Called a shot.
Which was pretty dope because literally, and some of you chimed in. Shout out to you guys that kind of chimed in and said, wait, what just happened? He got a hit. Like, that was kind of funny. Now, did it help the New York Mets whatsoever? As they averaged giving up a run per inning, the final score of a 9-0.
Hell to the no.
Like, what?
Hell no.
Oh,
so, I mean,
there are some Dodgers fans, though. We have to say, we did just mention, Austin from Cork Bats. So he is a Dodgers fan. So we'll have to give him his day in the sun. And Mr. Jim Wyatt, Titans beat writer, he is a Dodgers fan as well. So we'll give them both a little pay it forward there. And
well, would you look at the time? That's all the time we have.
Oh, we're out of time to pay it forward. Our shining moment is ended.
One shining moment. So yeah, I don't care about those guys. As I was born in the Bay Area, thank you very much. So no, I cannot be talking about the Dodgers in a positive manner. I will explode. Like my head will pop off of my body and I will cease to breathe. So state law. But I mean, it's cool. It was cool to see a Shohei Ohtani at bat, and he just crushed it off the wall. Like, I think it was like the second inning. Like, it is cool to see great players in those moments, like where you just have to watch. I'll admit that. I hate that it's for a team that I just cannot stand, but I will admit I was watching, and man, that part was kind of cool. I wish it wasn't 9-0. I know they play again here soon. And as well as the Yankees get rolling with shout out to the attire that Miles picked for tonight. Yeah. So
it's a red Guardian is what that is.
Yeah. So the Cleveland Guardians play the New York Yankees later.
It's an Indian.
Yes, he is Joe Boo. So make sure you guys watch Major League before the Yankee game. Make sure you follow us on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, the X's, you name it. The most fun way to watch is on YouTube. You can find us, of course, though, also on Apple and Spotify. The video version is also on Spotify, so you can always check us out on Spotify as well.
Get to see our beautiful faces on YouTube.
But yeah, 7,000 people
Bonita
want to see our faces on YouTube. They've already admitted that. They admitted it to God and everyone.
They tell us a lot in the comments that we have faces for radio.
And how do they do that? They hit the subscribe button. Is that correct?
And hit the notification bell so that you're notified when new content drops. So every Monday and Thursday, you can catch us. So in the meantime, in between time,
I was gonna say, ironically, that's what Jerry Jones was saying a lot on his birthday yesterday. Was ring the damn bell, ring the damn bell. This is over.
Yes. Happy birthday yesterday, to one Jerry Jones, and happy birthday to the man who signed this for me, Jerry Rice.
Pee Wee Herman.
Very recognizable signature there. Is that Randy Jackson? Or Jerry Rice? Got it.
Well, it's not Randy Johnson because he's not a fan.
Was that Alan
I don't know,
Jackson?
Randy Jackson.
I think it's Alan Jackson, actually.
And,
This is the
and all I had
Chattahoochee.
was the samurai sword.
Freddie
I've only
Jackson?
done the same thing.
Yeah. Chattahoochee. It also said Chattahoochee on it.
We always find a way to either talk of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or to derail the show, which we just did.
Both. We just did both. We just did both. We derailed the show and talked about turtles at the same time. Everybody have a nice day.
We talked about sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. And we see you Thursday.
Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.